All right, welcome back, everybody. I have Glenn Sandler on the show today, and Glenn Sandler is a CPA and founder of GITax.com. And Glenn is going to be walking us through this PPP stuff, right? PPP and the PPP Forgiveness program. I think that this is something that you're going to want to take notes on. It's going to be, I think, very important. Glenn Sandler, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You bet, you bet. All right, so let's just dive into this. What is PPP, and what is this PPP Forgiveness all about?
Well, I'm sure your listeners have heard about PPP for the last, I guess, about going on the last 6 months. PPP stands for the Paycheck Protection Program that the government allowed small businesses to participate in, so they can, while the pandemic was going on and they lost business, that they'd be able to retain employees by paying the payroll for their employees during the downtimes of business. You had to apply for it. You had to send them some financial statements or some tax returns. You had to let them know what your sales were, what your payroll was, and then they came back with an amount that they thought they would get you through the period. It originally started as an 8-week period of payback, where they tried to pay you back for your payroll that would be good for an 8-week period of time, and then they increased it to 24 weeks, but didn't increase the amount of money they gave you. They just gave you an increased time to pay the payroll back to your employees. If you use it for, and I'd call it payroll, but 70 or 80% of it should be payroll. The other 20% could be rent or interest expense on a mortgage or utilities, but they want you to use it mainly for payroll for a period of time to get you through the pandemic so you can retain your employees.
Gotcha. Okay, and so then walk us through this PPP Forgiveness. How does that work?
This is a great conversation, because if anybody thinks they know what's going on with PPP Forgiveness, they're actually lying to you. They've came out with a form about a month ago. The SBA, you can get it on the SBA.gov website, that had the application for applying for forgiveness, and it's like 12 pages. You almost need, a CPA degree in order to be able to figure it out. But they also didn't implement it yet. It hasn't been implemented yet because the government keeps changing the way they want to handle it.
Gotcha.
The way it's at right now is if you receive less than $2 million in PPP, it's going to be a one-question thing. Did you use it for payroll? You say yes, and it's going to be the honor system type thing. So that's supposed to come out hopefully in the next few weeks. I don't know. I don't have any clients that got $2 million. Most of my clients have gotten, 20, 30, 40,000 maybe. I think I have one client that maybe got $100,000, but it must be like the Los Angeles Lakers that got $2 million in PPP. And They're going to have to fill out all these forms in order to get forgiveness for it.
All right. Now, one of the things that you said is at this point, don't ask for forgiveness. You're advising a lot of your clients to wait. Why should we wait?
Because what's going to happen is, I believe, from dealing with the IRS and the government for the last, umpteen years, if you're one of the ones that are going to ask for forgiveness early and fill out this form, you're going to be one of the people that get audited, and it's going to go through the audit process. I believe what's going to happen, because they're going to give this forgiveness to the small business people with just filling out a one question application, basically, is because they don't have the resources to audit all these companies. They don't want to have a workforce for the IRS that's going to go in and audit somebody that got, say, a $7,000 PPP, award type deal. So I'm always one. What I try to do is, like when I deal with the IRS and audits, I don't answer questions until they're asked. Okay, what happens with the IRS? If you start offering information, it becomes a problem.
Right.
I think the same thing is going to be with the PPP stuff. If they're not requiring you to do it, then don't do it. And that's why I advise all my clients. They call me all the time. We call them. We keep in touch with them. I read about it every single day. and because they all have questions, but you almost have, if they give you 24 weeks from the date you received the money to be able to apply for forgiveness. So you're talking the middle of November, December, before it's really going to be a problem. And again, I wouldn't offer any information to the government until they ask for it.
Sure. I think that's a smart move. I mean, here we are, we're coming up on the election. I could see the president as a way of raising his approval and getting more votes, just forgiving a bunch of these loans automatically.
And I think they should. What's happening, and again, I appreciate this, and what's happening, and again, this is all the way I feel about it from dealing with thousands of clients over years and years and years, is that the government is giving this money to businesses that can't afford to pay their payroll. So what's going to happen if they go and audit them and they say that they didn't use it for the right reason, they're not going to have the money to pay them back anyway. And I think that they don't want to go and audit people that they're not going to be able to collect anyway. Auditors, the IRS, they kind of make a determination because they have desks full of audit files, okay, that come across their desk that they have to select for audit. What they do is they look at them and they say, okay, I can collect money on this one. If they don't think that they have a way to retain some income or get some money from these files, they don't audit that file. The same thing is with this PPP stuff. Why go back and audit all these people and make them fill out all this forgiveness stuff? Because if they didn't do it the right way, they're not going to be able to pay it back anyway. It's going to be a fruitless cause. And I think they're weighing that. If they go and they audit somebody that got $2 million, they can make a difference. To audit the guy got $7,000, it's a waste of their time because he's not going to be able to pay it.
Right. Absolutely. All right. So let me ask you this. As far as the PPP program, is that done? I mean, is it too late for somebody to apply?
It is done as of now. I think August 6th was the last day. But what happened, what I found out was that even some banks allowed you to apply for it up to the 3rd, 4th, or 5th. But what happened was on August 6th or August 8th, I can't remember what the date was, it ended. So there's a lot of applications that are still in process where the people haven't gotten paid. And I feel that if they come up with a new stimulus thing, they're going to open that back up again. I hope they do. I have a lot of clients that were in the process of receiving their PPP money and the time ran out, and now they're just kind of sitting there in limbo.
So, okay, so let me ask you this. When it comes to the PPP program, do you have, does it work for, let's say, a sole proprietor who hasn't, let's say he's just a sole proprietor. He doesn't have an LLC or a corporation. Maybe it's just him and one employee. Would it?
The answer is
like
yes.
that work?
Yes, the answer to your question is yes. And a lot of accountants didn't understand this, that they thought you had to have payroll in order to be able to qualify for the PPP. I even was watching, I can't remember what it was, but Trump had some kind of people at the White House, and they were asking him questions. And one of the people actually were in Tampa, in Florida, and they said that what can he help them with because they are a small business, they don't pay payroll. How come they can't qualify for the PPP? Well, they did qualify for it. I actually called them, found their business, called them and told them that they were allowed to get the PPP stuff and we would help them apply for it because a lot of people didn't understand it. They gave it to self-employed people. They gave it to people that didn't pay themselves payroll because most small businesses, unfortunately, don't pay themselves payroll checks. So they're the ones that really needed the help with the PPP program. And if you read through it in the fine print, you just had to use it for payroll after you received it, and you would qualify for it. And what it was is the allowance was you can pay payroll for an 8-week period of time for somebody that made up to $100,000 a year. So if you took 100,000 divided by 12, multiplied by 2.5, which is 2.5 months, it came out to about $21,000, and that's what most self-employed people got was a check for $21,000. If they had 2 owners, they got $42,000. But a lot of accountants didn't understand it. And then at the very end of the program, I started getting phone calls from people that wanted to apply for it. And I think the last week, we probably got close to 100 people PPP money. I still have 20 or 30 people that are sitting there with these applications out there that haven't received the money, unfortunately.
Wow. So it sounds like the program is really open to anybody as long as you use it like you said, I think 80% needs to go to payroll, and then the other 20% you have some discretion with. And I think,
or 100% to payroll.
Okay, 100% payroll.
And that's the easiest way, is just make it all payroll. And then you don't have to submit, rent contracts and all that kind of stuff. So yes, it was a great program for the small business person. It really helped a lot of our clients to get them through the time of the original part of the pandemic. Restaurants, they needed it. Now what they used it for was mainly the restaurants. They used it to be able to update their businesses so they can do a lot of takeout, right? So what they did is they closed out their restaurants. They hired some people to take out. They had some drivers, and they hired a bunch of cooks, and their in-restaurant business became takeout business. And it really helped a lot of restaurants. It helped a lot of companies. It helped my company. I want to be able to keep my people, because at the very beginning, people don't show up anymore. And you want to retain your people. My people, basically, it was seamless to them, this whole pandemic thing, because they never missed a paycheck. And thank God for the PPP stuff, that I was able to do that, to use it, to be able to pay them their salaries, everything that was going on with them. And they never missed a day of work. So it worked well. The program was great.
Yeah.
I don't usually say the government did a great thing. Okay. They did a great thing with the PPP program.
You know what? I agree with you. I think that as an employee, you hear about all these businesses being closed down, and immediately you're thinking, how is this going to affect me? And it's a wonderful thing to be able to do what you did, which is to not to have to lay anybody off, to continue to pay them and give them that security that employees look for, because that it can be very scary during this massive period of uncertainty. So that's a great thing.
25 million people were unemployed. I mean, it was a lot of people that were unemployed. And I apologize about cutting you off, but hopefully my employees didn't stress out about that stuff. They didn't have to worry about if they were going to be able to go to the grocery store, or be able to eat during the weekend, or if they were going to have a job to come into. And we as employers want to make sure that we take care of our people. And by letting them not have that stress of what everybody else hears about on the news, and on, you turn the TV on and you think the world's, falling apart. Hopefully your employees don't feel that way, and they stay productive. They stay happy, actually. And, they come to work. They don't call in sick. They didn't all worry about the pandemic and said they were going to go on unemployment. They all stayed, and hopefully they appreciate that. I mean, hopefully they do.
Yeah. And I'm sure that they did. I mean, that's got to be a great relief, because as you mentioned, there was millions that got kicked to the curb. They had no choice. You mentioned restaurants. I mean, you think of the millions of servers who, there's just no way that you're going to be able to do anything with the restaurant that's not open. Servers can't serve, therefore they can't make any money. And to be able to, to open up a little bit, or to be able to give them something, I think that's tremendous, because I think the statistic is something like 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And so that's.
I know people who make a few $100,000 a year to live paycheck to paycheck.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if you make $25,000 a year or 200. You still live within your means.
Yeah. Well, what's so funny is, there's even millionaires that live paycheck to paycheck, and so any kind of disruption, affects them just like it affects everybody else. And they file bankruptcy just like everybody else, and so, it is about living within your means. And if you're fortunate enough to make $200,000 or $300,000 a year, hopefully you're smart enough not to live on the edge or exceed that. And that's a great way to provide yourself peace of mind. If you're, there was a gentleman years ago that I met, and he was very successful. And he said that his strategy was to try to live on 20% of what him and his wife made, which is ridiculously hard. But he says that because that was their strategy, they invested everything else, and they were quickly able to amass a large amount of money and invested. And anyway, he's got a very interesting story, but very, very, very few people are willing to sacrifice to that extent, right? I mean, you have to. That's a crazy.
I agree.
Example.
Yes, it's amazing that happens. And there is a book out there called Die Broke, which is the other side,
right?
Which is why die with a dollar in the bank? You know, use it to go on vacation or something. But yes, restaurant workers now, on the good but bad side, I don't know how you look at it. Restaurant workers are hardworking people. They're really smart. They deal with hours. They deal with really, really difficult business. And now they're out there to be hired. If there's somebody that has to hire somebody for a manager in their non-restaurant business, they have unbelievable employees to choose from, because there's a lot of people that came out of the restaurant business that are now in play. And I'm telling you, restaurant people work hard, man. They work till wee hours of the morning. They take a bunch of crud from customers. They have people calling in sick, and it's a rough business, but they're out there now. And I'm trying to find a few of them so I can open up some more offices and hopefully have some managers from my offices.
Well, you know what?
Amazing employees.
That's a great strategy. I'm glad you said that, because you're absolutely right, man. If you're a manager or a general manager, you're working, 60, 70, 80 hours a week.
That's right.
Weekends and holidays, and so they would be so grateful to come to work for a 9 to 5. Hey, I'll be glad to work 50 hours for you and not have to put in too many Saturdays. That would be a gift.
And that's what people should be looking for now, because there's still a million people last week filed for unemployment.
Yeah,
which is way down from where it was. Okay, I mean, it was ridiculous.
Well, at one point we had, I think at one point, didn't we have like 22% unemployment or something like that?
It was higher than that. I mean, it was
40%. I think you're right. I think it hit 40%.
Yeah. It was tens of millions of people out of jobs. And you know what it is also? I mean, we back up to your employees, hopefully that they don't, freak out, and they keep their lives going in the right direction. You keep them happy and they can keep their lives going. They're watching the news, and again, 8 million different stories. The world's falling apart. The world's not falling apart. You're going to be fine. You're not going to be fine. You're never going to have another job. The world's going to burn down. These uncertainties affect your people. I mean, they say suicide rates are higher. They say depression rates are higher. Drug use goes up. If you can have your employees be comfortable and not have a big change in their lifestyle, hopefully you avoid all that kind of stuff. And that's what we did as a company. We tried to just make it as simple as possible for our employees, so they didn't have to worry about things that they were hearing about, on the streets, in the grocery stores, on the TV channels, and so on and so forth. And our customers benefited from it. Because now my employees are still fine. They're happy. They come to work and they can take care of their customers. And it's all a result of the PPP program and the EIDL program. We haven't spoken about that program. The EIDL program is the other side of the SBA that they gave grants and loans to businesses for during this period of time.
I'm not familiar with that. It's EIDL?
Yep, emergency something disaster assistance. Okay, and you can still apply for it also. That's still open. Okay, you can still apply for that on the SBA website. If you go to sba.gov, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, you put your information in there. Based on your business code, they will give you a loan for 30 years at 1%. The majority of my clients now that are applying for it are getting $150,000 loans, and they're at 1% for 30 years. They're great programs. And the way I look at it is, the PPP program was for today. Okay, to get you through business today, to pay you for payroll and that kind of deal. The EIDL program was for tomorrow, was to be able to lend money to businesses so that they can grow, look at the future, invest in more cars, more trucks, more people. And then this is a period of time where they could take their restaurant to 2 restaurants, okay, to 2 locations. Or if you have a guy that's a carpenter, he can buy another truck and hire another person. But the SBA put out this program at the same time. And like I said, it's still available today. If you go onto the SBA website, you can still apply for it. Now, it's kind of weird. You apply for it, you get an application number. Okay, you'll get an application number, And then in a few weeks, you'll get an email that said you've been approved. After you sign the documents, in a few days, you get your money. And most of the people that I'm working with right now, just regular small businesses, like I said, are getting $150,000 loans.
Wow, that's good. Now, let me ask you this.
Everybody can do it.
So what about if you're an independent contractor, you're self-employed? Does that still qualify for EIDL?
Yes, 100%. And what it does is they, like I had somebody just got rejected because I didn't realize that the business code for real estate rentals or real estate management is one of the codes that doesn't qualify for the EIDL program. But if you're a regular business, a restaurant, self-employed, sole proprietorship, LLC, corporation, you just fill out the form. It takes about a 5-minute form. And like I said, I have a manufacturing company got $400,000. And what it is, it's a 30-year loan. You don't have to start paying it back for 1 year from now. And then I said 1%. It's actually 3%, but it's a 30-year payback. So you can use it to expand your business. So I don't know if people listening to you guys are Republicans or conservatives or Democrats or whatever, but what I think Trump did when he got into office, and it happened with this help that they're giving everybody through the pandemic, is I think he uncorked the SBA. The SBA is lending money now like I've never seen it. And I think what happened was Trump said, listen, if we're going to lend all this money for people to go to college and we're going to put all this money out there for college loans, let's give money to some business people. Let them use it to be productive. So it's very easy now to get money from the SBA compared to what it was a few years ago. Right now, if you go and apply for it, you can get, I think it's up to a $350 loan or $250, and you can have the money in 2 or 3 weeks. You'd never be able to do that with the SBA. It used to be a 6-month process, an 8-month process, where they ask you for 8 million documents and you got to sign your kids over. Right now, a lot of these loans, they don't even require collateral.
Wow.
And they're out there. You just have to be familiar with it. And you should go to your tax preparer, go to your accountant, and hopefully they understand what's going on. If not, find one that does know what's going on. My job and our firm's job is to work for our customers. Anything that we can do to help our customers, we'll do. So if we have to go and do hours of research to find out ways to get in the back door of something to help people out, we're there. A lot of our companies have gotten this EIDL loan. And like I said, I got a guy just got $150,000 yesterday. He's an IT company. He's the kind of company that comes into your business and he takes care of your computers and that kind of deal. And he wanted to expand and he wanted to hire some more people. He just got a $150,000 grant and he's taking his business to the next level. And all he did, I think he applied for it 2 weeks ago.
That's incredible.
It's out there.
Yeah. And I think you're right, because anybody who's ever tried to work with the SBA, it is a monstrously long process, tons of documentation. It's slow. It's painful. To be able to get money 2 or 3 weeks is unheard of.
Right. No, it's great. And we're starting to sell franchises. So our franchisees are now applying for SBA loans and they're getting their SBA loans. So it's I think the government is now at the point where it's small business focused, and they're doing everything they possibly can to help out the small business, which is what the PPP program was and what the EIDL program was. It wasn't so the Los Angeles Lakers can go get $20 million in a PPP loan. That's not what it was intended for. Okay, even though they did something like that, a lot of big businesses did that, unfortunately, but it helped way more small businesses be able to get through this mess and be able to expand their business and become better business people. Yeah.
And one of the things that some of these big companies have is that they have the resources, the manpower to investigate what is this program about, how do we apply, let's do it, versus a small business person is going to go, I don't know what to do, I don't know who to call, I don't know, whatever. And so that's why a lot of them didn't even apply. They were just overwhelmed, call it fear, whatever. But bottom line is, if they would have had somebody like you or maybe another preparer that could help them with the process, they would have had even more applications. But a lot of people that I talked to said, I wasn't going to even try. It was, dealing with the government never works out, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people didn't try. And then there's a lot of people who were just afraid to try.
Unfortunately, yeah, unfortunately. And what it is, and I'm not saying that I'm my business is the best business in the universe, but it kind of is. We at GI Tax, we are proactive. We went to our customers, because we're probably 65% small business with our customers. So we have to be aware of this, because the guy that's hanging screens, he doesn't have time to do this. The guy that's mowing lawns doesn't have time to do this. The guy that's catching fish and selling it to the guys in town, they don't have time to do this. The Los Angeles Lakers have an army full of people to do it.
Yes.
Okay? That's why companies like GI Tax, and anybody can call us if they want to, or just visit us on our website, or go to a local guy that you referred to. But their job is to be that person for the small business person, because our customers don't want to. Even though I'm a CPA, I don't charge CPA rates. They're scared to go to CPAs. They think it's going to cost them a lot of money. We have free consultations, and we talk to people. And if you do business with us on a tax basis, you get to utilize this all year for free financial advice. So our customers come in all year.
Yeah.
They come in, grab a cup of coffee, sit down, and say, should I lease a car, buy a car? What do you hear about this PPP program? Can you help me? I've had family members from different states calling me and saying, can you help me apply for PPP, because you did it for my brother, you did it for my uncle, or you did it for a family member? And the question is yes. I mean, we're here. It's funny, because our hours got longer during the pandemic because of this PPP stuff. And we didn't charge anybody for it. We just felt like it was our obligation for our customers to help them through this kind of stuff. And we spent hours and hundreds of hours applying for this stuff. Because what happens if our small business customer gets better and has more locations? Then we have more business. Plus, we're able to help people out, which it's not always about money. If you walk into a CPA's office to say hello, they ask for directions, they're going to send you a bill. Well, you need to find somebody that's like us, that is there. It's not all about money. It's about doing the right job and helping your customers out. And you know what? Then it all translates into, being able to buy G.I. Joe's Kung Fu grip,
That's it. Well, you know what? And you and I talked about this before the show, that everything's built on relationships.
Everything.
And that the better your relationship, that gives you a competitive advantage. And sometimes we forget how important those relationships are.
They are the most important part of your business. And that's why we're talking before about all these people working remote. It's okay, but you can't work remote with your customer. You know what I mean? You have to be there for your customer. Our customers love coming in. They love grabbing a cup of coffee and seeing the person face to face that's giving them their information about the PP program that's going to save their family. You got to realize this was a lifeline for a lot of companies that wouldn't have been able to stay or go through this thing without this additional amount of funds. $40,000 for a restaurant that's been closed for 2 or 3 weeks, it's a lifesaver. It's amazing how good it was for so many companies. Now, there might have been a lot of fraud out there. You don't really know, because whenever you have a program like this, there's always people that try to take advantage of it. But you know what? For the people that it was intended for, I give the government all the credit in the world, man. I mean, it worked really, really well. Yeah,
absolutely. Glenn, we're out of time. I want to pop up your website here one more time. You can reach Glenn Sandler at gitax.com, gitax.com. Glenn, thank you so much for helping out your customers and helping out fellow entrepreneurs. And thanks so much for stopping by. Looking forward to having you back again.
Thank you very much. Anytime.
All righty.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.